Hallo liebe Leute, also heute wollte ich ein bisschen wieder auf Deutsch sprechen, weil wie ihr weißt, ich lerne mich wieder diese Sprache und diese und letzte Woche habe ich viel mehr Zeit Deutsch zu lernen gemacht und das ist, ich muss sagen, es ist eine großartige Gefühle. Ich habe immer diese Gefühl, oder das Gefühl, es ist wie endlich einen alten, lieben Freund zu sehen, ne? Und ja, wenn ich Deutsch lerne, oder wenn ich lerne Deutsch, kann ich irgendwie helfen. Ich denke immer an Hamburg und Leipzig und Berlin. Ich war kurz in Leipzig und ich habe einige Tage in Berlin gefährt. Aber wie ihr weißt vielleicht, ich habe eine kurze Zeit in Hamburg gewohnt. Und also ja, wenn ich lerne Deutsch, ich denke immer an so viele gute Erinnerungen an Hamburg. Und ja, ich weiß nicht warum, aber ja, das ist das Gefühl, es ist wirklich wie einen alten, lieben Freund zu sehen. Und ja, also heute wollte ich darüber sprechen. Und ja, ich glaube, dass es ist wirklich eine so schöne Sache, eine Fremdsprache zurückgehen und ja, es ist so geil. Okay, so there's kind of an introduction to the topic, but also giving you sort of a status update with my German. And to be honest with you, I feel really happy with my progress because it really wasn't that long ago that my German sounded like this. Hallo liebe Leute, also heute werden wir ein bisschen nach meinen alten Language Activity Tracking Sheets schicken? How do you say this? Sehen. Oh mein Gott. Wir werden nach meinen alten Language Activity Tracking Sheets sehen. Und also wie ihr weißt, ich liebe meinen Tracking Sheets. Und ein Reason ist, dass wenn man eine Sprache vergisst, also diese Tracking Sheets Diese Tracking Sheets helfen uns, also alles, das wir in der Past gemacht haben, erinnern. I don't think that's correct grammar. Und ja, ich weiß nicht, was ich nicht sprachen. Just to say. How do you even just say to say? Ich weiß nicht, was zu. I don't know. I don't remember even how to say something. And to be honest, you know, it's been quite challenging. I've spoken recently in several videos about how, you know, it has been very difficult balancing my German studies with my Mandarin Chinese studies, along with all the things I'm doing, like 3 YouTube videos a week, working on Journaly, full-time job, data science, and so on, right? And so given how challenging it has been, and it really hasn't been that long, I feel really pleased that my German, it feels like it's all coming back so organically. And you know, there's still a lot of progress to do, and to be honest, I probably could move more quickly if I wanted to. I could probably just go straight into my graded readers, maybe even go to the intermediate. But I am really enjoying just following the plan that I set out for myself. If you remember, I made a whole video about creating my new activity tracking sheet for German. I'll link that video up here and in the description. That was really fun. And so I've just been going through my Babbel lessons. And as I mentioned in one of my German videos, I found that the most important thing right now for me is just reestablishing that habit. And so whatever I can do to make that easy for myself is really helpful. And so, yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. And as I was spending these last couple of weeks, you know, doing more and more German, and especially I think as the language really started coming back to me, you know, like when I spoke just now, that was totally unscripted, and you know, I feel almost giddy just speaking into the camera, just speaking German and feeling it sort of come out so naturally. I mean, I think I stumbled a little bit here and there. I probably made plenty of mistakes, but like, I at least was making conscious choices. There was a time where, for example, you know, as I was speaking just now, I forget what word it was, but I remember consciously thinking like, that's the accusative, I think, And so I used this einen something, right? Instead of ein or eine, right? And so as I was going through, I felt like I was both conscious, but also subconsciously making like grammatical choices as I was trying to express those German sentences. And I think it's just a really cool feeling. And so as this has been happening over the last couple of weeks, again, I just can't help but feel like it's like getting back to an old friend. And I think that very often when I'm not studying a language, especially a language that I have spoken pretty fluently in the past or one that I've really studied extensively, it often feels a bit like I get a bit guilty. There's this longing that I have. It's kind of a dull aching in my heart, And it really is a bit like if you have a friend, a really dear friend that you haven't spoken to for a long time and that that you really should, and you would love to just spend time with them, but maybe for whatever reason, it's totally legitimate to have, real life reasons why maybe you haven't seen them, haven't spoken to them. When you finally see them again, it's such a wonderful feeling. When it comes to a language, because, again, my intention right now is not just to see German again, and then that's it. My intention is to really finally get German back to where it was, which I think I had I would say like a B2 level. I don't think it was a super strong B2, but I think my German was sort of in the B2, lower B2 ranges perhaps. Basically, like a pretty solid intermediate. I was definitely starting to be able to express myself well, beginning to be able to understand things well. I could definitely get through conversations. I felt like I was at a basic but okay level of fluency, right? Still a long way to go, but I could function and express myself in German. And, I want to really get back to that place, but I want to take it far beyond that. And so for me right now, this feels like not only seeing a friend again, but it's like I'm moving back to a city where this friend lives. And I know we're going to be spending lots of time together, and we're going to be having many wonderful memories together. It's hard to explain, but I really want to know all of your thoughts, because for those of you who have done this, I am sure that you have things to say, right? I feel like, if you're going to be studying even one foreign language, and especially if you're studying 2, 3, 4, however many, it's inevitable that, there's probably going to come a time when you spend less time with that language, and maybe you even have to walk away from it for quite some time. But I think that sometimes when that happens, it can feel quite overwhelming. The idea of getting back to the language, it can be a bit scary. And even that, I think there is still some overlap with a friendship, because sometimes if you haven't seen a friend for a long time and you feel kind of guilty and that you should have spoken to them, sometimes we actually wait a lot longer because there's this kind of guilt or shame. It's kind of hard to describe, but I feel the same way about languages sometimes. Sometimes I know that I need to get back to Japanese, but the longer goes on, the bigger the burden becomes, right? The more I feel like, okay, I'm gonna really have to invest some really solid time with Japanese, so I'll wait a bit longer till the time is right. You see what I'm saying? So I think that it's quite helpful to hopefully kind of both discuss, but also show you in real time, right? You just saw me speaking German again, to show how it's really a delightful, pleasant experience once you finally get back in touch with that language, right? And so I think, if that's where you are, if you've got a language you should have spent time with and you're feeling a bit guilty about it or whatever it might be, it's helpful just to know that when you finally get back in touch, it's going to be a really delightful, pleasant experience. So there we go. Just kind of a note on my personal journey back into the German language. And I look forward to documenting these kind of journeys in the future with other languages like French and Japanese, which I have a deep history with, much deeper than German. But also other languages like Italian and Portuguese and Swedish. I just love this process of documenting the whole thing. So there we go. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please let me know. And of course, if you like this video, then give me a like and maybe even consider subscribing. Thanks everybody. Have a wonderful Wednesday and I'll see you back here on Friday.